Comes somebody like Kiss Daniel, Davido, Burna Boy. When the child begins to become a public figure, the surrogate mom runs from nowhere and starts shouting, "This is my child. He suckled on my breast. I carried him for 9 months. He's genetically related to me," especially if they did traditional surrogacy where the child is genetically involved with related with her. You start hearing, "I'm ready to go for a DNA test. This is my child." Then you hear people that don't know how the child came into existence put him out and say, "Forgive, take care of your child, your parents. Why are you not taking care of your parents?" You don't even know whether that woman was paid off to just beat that child. Surrogacy is as old as man's existence. That is why we can also relate to the Bible, where Sarah couldn't bear forth a child for her husband Abraham, and she had to bring her Egyptian slave girl Hagar to bear forth a child for her husband. In the days of old, or in our contemporary society, it wasn't considered surrogacy. In short, it had no name. It was just like more of assist me to bear forth a child, have sexual intercourse with my husband, bear forth a child, and at the end of the day, I'm going to claim the child as mine while I give you worldly possessions, clothes, cars, houses, money. But sometimes it doesn't always go as planned because those surrogate mothers end up coming back years later to claim their child. And when some tests are carried out genetically, that child belongs to that surrogate mother. Then they start claiming the child. This is where I can counseling outreach, and of course I still remain Rachel, your online counselor. Today I am going to be talking about surrogacy and its sociocultural implications in Nigeria. Children are said to be the blessings of marriage. So where couples find it difficult to bear forth children, they believe, "Oh, I'm so unfortunate. I'm yet to get the blessings of marriage." But I'm happy to announce to you that surrogacy has helped couples with the issues of childlessness. Surrogacy has put smiles in couples' faces. Surrogacy has also helped couples who have been discriminated, those women who have been considered barren, those men who have been considered impotent. Surrogacy has made them parents. In the Western societies, surrogacy is well recognized, accepted. In short, it has legal backings in the Western society. In some Western societies, sorry, let me not say all, in some Western society. But in Nigeria, what is our perception towards surrogacy? That's what gave birth to today's topic, the sociocultural implications of surrogacy. What is our perception towards surrogacy in Nigeria? What are our thoughts towards surrogacy in Nigeria? Before I proceed, I always define my topic. So today, let's define surrogacy. Surrogacy can be defined as a method of reproduction whereby a woman who is referred to as a surrogate, agrees or accepts to carry pregnancy and birth the child as a substitute for contracted parties. That means she has agreed that, okay, I'm going to bear forth this child for another couple. So it is in agreement. Let's talk about the methods of surrogacy. We have two methods of surrogacy. We have the traditional surrogacy. Under the traditional, we have two different types. But number one, we have the traditional surrogacy. Number two, we have the gestational surrogacy. Now, let's talk about the traditional, where I'm going to split it or where I'm going to explain the babies under it. Number one, which is the traditionally. This includes sexual intercourse or artificial insemination between the husband and the surrogate. Either ways, either through sexual intercourse or artificial insemination, either ways, the surrogate is still genetically related to the child they reproduce. Under traditional surrogate, we have two types. A is natural way. Natural way involves the woman, which is the wife, bringing forth another woman as the surrogate, having sexual intercourse with her husband to bear forth a child. Then the woman ends up collecting the child from the surrogate and giving her something she goes away with. But this pattern or this natural way was considered obsolete, was considered outdated because it involved emotions, because it involves you bringing another woman to sexually meet with your husband, with your spouse. And at the end of the day, emotions can connect. In short, most wives end up being jealous. They start asking their spouse, did you enjoy when you were having sex with her? I heard you screaming. I heard you mourning. They start getting jealous. Emotions step in. So it became obsolete. It became outdated. So women started avoiding that. That was what gave birth to the artificial way now, which is the B part, artificial way. The B part under traditional surrogacy is the artificial way. The natural way was said to be outdated because it involved sexual intercourse. But in the B part, sexual intercourse was eradicated. There was no sexual intercourse between the husband or the man and the surrogate. Other means were being employed, such as withdrawal. The man has sexual intercourse with his wife, ejaculate into a tube, and professionals inseminate it into the surrogate. Or masturbation was done by the man or the husband and his sperm was implanted in the woman. Either ways, either the natural way or the artificial way, the surrogate is still genetically involved with a child because it was only the man's sperm that was used, not the wife's egg. Number two, which is the gestational surrogacy. The pregnancy results from the transfer of an embryo created by in vitro fertilization (IVF) was done in such a manner that the surrogate mother is not genetically involved with the child. Here, the surrogate mother has no genetical relations with the child because fertilization is done with the use of the woman's egg. Fertilization is done with the man's sperm. So she's not genetically involved with the child. She's just a carrier. It is just taking of the embryo into the surrogate to house the baby until maturity. Then, boom, she brings forth the child. What are the factors that contributed to the growing awareness of surrogacy in Nigeria? Number one is the desire to bear forth children. Couples want to bear forth children. Couples who are finding it difficult to bear forth children, they want to bear forth children. So they start looking for diverse means. And before you know it, they are hearing surrogacy, surrogacy, surrogacy. That was how awareness was created. Number two, assistance in the reproduction techniques. Surrogates serve as an assistance to reproduction. Surrogates helps with reproduction. Number three, economical benefits. All those women serving as surrogates end up cashing out. They end up gaining financially. That's why they now say, oh, have you heard of surrogates? If you are a carrier, if you help them in conceiving the baby, we're going to give you some X amount of money. They'll be like, huh? Only me, I'm going to get that X amount of money. I'm interested. That was what gave birth to it. The last but not the least that I'm going to talk about is the influence on global trends and media. Media serves as a means of passing the information. If you want to have children, advert, attention. We have people that can help you in carrying your baby. They are called surrogates. Global trends. You are hearing, I gave birth to this my child through surrogacy. This my son is being produced through surrogacy. That was how awareness came into Nigeria. Questions that are being asked about surrogacy by most Nigerians, especially couples who intend going for surrogacy. And at the end of the day, they end up asking the counselor, okay, number one is, what are the value of the child, that surrogate child that I'm about to have, compared to other children in the family? When we talk about the child, is the child going to be looked down on by other members of the family? Are they going to say, this is not the real child, it's just as a result of surrogacy? Or how is the mother going to be looked upon when she say, okay, I gave birth to this child through surrogacy? Are they going to say, you are not yet a mother, you are just deceiving yourself, now you carry the belle? How will they perceive the father? They'll be like, and you call yourself an African man and you allow another person to carry your own child. So couples tend to ask that kind of question, that okay, if at the end of the day I tell people I gave birth to this child through surrogacy, how are they going to perceive my child? How are they going to perceive myself? How are they going to look at my husband? Number two is gender role. This gender role is not common in a place like United States, because surrogacy has its own stated stipulated laws. As a surrogate, once you help once you help a couple to carry their baby and you give birth to the baby is automatically taken from you. You have no ties with the child, no ties with the family again. You are done with your work in the United States because they have stipulated laws. But in here, this Nigeria, this our contemporary society, you hear gender roles having to play. The mother, which is the wife, she wants, okay, this is how I want my child to grow, this is the values, the do's and don'ts I want my child to have. But you see the surrogate mom coming from nowhere and say, are you the one that helped me to carry my child? I don't want my child to act like this. I don't want my child to do like this. I am the mother. It's me that know the pain of motherhood. You don't know the pain of motherhood. Gender will begin to clash. They begin to have issues. That is another problem or questions that they ask. Most Nigerians ask when they consider surrogacy, or most clients ask counselors when they consider surrogacy. They tend to ask, hope gender role is not going to be a problem. My wife and the surrogate are not going to be clashing that it's my child, it's your child. The last but not the least is our religious perception or sociocultural perception towards surrogacy. Couples tend to ask counselors, or even Nigerians tend to ask generally, is it culturally acceptable? Religiously, is it acceptable? We're not going to talk about Buddhists, Hinduism, and others, or Judaism. We're just going to stick to ours here. Islamically and in Christian way, it is not generally accepted. They see it as lack of faith or lack of belief in God. You are doubting God. That is why you cannot pray. You cannot believe that God will give you your own child. You had to go and involve a third party to bear forth a child for you. That is the questions Nigerians ask, or clients normally ask about surrogacy. Now, let's talk about the ethical issues associated with surrogacy. Number one is exploitation of women. An average American woman will not collect less than $200 for being a surrogate. But in Nigeria, just promise them 2 million. They're like, oh, that is cool cash. I am going to cash out. I have a question to ask. How much money can buy 9 months of your life? How much money can buy that time you will spend in the labor room, which sometimes you come out and sometimes you pass out from there? How much? Under that expectation of women, let's talk about the physical look. All the physiological changes that pregnant women experience automatically registers in your body that, okay, this body has carried a baby. All those physiological changes automatically comes to your body. Whether you are the owner of the egg or you're not the owner of the egg, your body has carried a baby. So, to get that your pre-pregnant state, that your pre-pregnant body back, might sometimes take time, and in some cases it might never occur. You might never get your body back, even if it's not your egg. Emotions play a role under exploitation of women, because it is believed that during the process of nurturing the baby to maturity, whereby the baby is growing in you, that emotional attachment, you get attached to your baby. And after nurturing your baby in your womb for the period of 9 months and giving birth to the baby, and at the end of the day, you are handing over the baby to another person, it breeds the question, what kind of a mother are you? However, that question does not have an answer. But in a typical Nigerian setting, everybody or nobody, even somebody that doesn't even know you, that have no right to question you, will be asking you, what kind of a mother are you? That's a typical Nigerian setting. Number two is child welfare. Remember, we're talking about the ethical issues associated with Nigeria, because in US, where there's law that binds surrogacy, a surrogate mom cannot come from nowhere. But in Nigeria, we have issues when the child becomes a public figure, when the child becomes somebody like Kiss Daniel, Davido, Burna Boy, when the child begins to become a public figure, the surrogate mom runs from nowhere and starts shouting, "This is my child. He suckled on my breast. I carried him for 9 months. He's genetically related to me," especially if they did traditional surrogacy where the child is genetically involved with related with her. You start hearing, "I'm ready to go for a DNA test. This is my child." Then you hear people that don't know how the child came into existence put him out and say, "Forgive, take care of your child, your parents. Why are you not taking care of your parents?" You don't even know whether that woman was paid off to just bait that child. Number three is legal framework, where couples who intend going for surrogacy wants to have an agreement with the surrogate mom, with the surrogate. They invite their lawyers, their barristers. Barristers find it difficult to capture in totality everything that entails surrogacy because in Nigeria there's no law that backs it up. So they just pick. They can't capture everything in totality. Unlike in the US where they can capture everything that contains surrogacy. But here the law is, they don't have law backing it up. So they just capture little. At the end of the day, that's why those surrogates have the mind or the audacity to come back and claim those children. Number four is closely related to the legal framework, but it has to do with the legal procedure. That's why in these days you see baby factories springing up from different angles. At the end of the day, when they arrest anybody that is involved in baby factory work, they actually don't penalize them for going against surrogate rules, because sometimes it's those young ladies that go to meet them that, "I want money, I want to give birth so that you give me money." At the end of the day, you just hear child trafficking, or you just hear molesting a child, or sometimes you can hear kidnapping. But any serious law backing surrogacy, they don't have it. That's why baby factory machines or baby factory establishment is springing forth here and there. At the end of the day, here are Nigeria's perception towards surrogacy. Number one is the when you talk about surrogacy or you say, "This child, I gave birth to this child through surrogacy," they'll be like, "Abeg, that child birth is complicated. That child is not a normal child." That's how Nigeria see. They'll be like, "The birth of that pikin, e dey complicated, no be normal pikin." Number two, they'll be like, "Which one be that one? Which one be surrogacy?" Especially those that are not well enlightened. When you now explain to them and probably the child misbehave or probably the child is sick, they'll be like, "No wonder, no be normal way they born am na. Maybe they fertilize am outside before they put am inside the woman. That's why the child be like this. That's why I know they act like better person. That's why I know they act normal." That's Nigerians for you. Number three is discrimination here and there. There's character discrimination, there's physical discrimination. They describe the child's physical appearance. They'll say, "No be normal pikin, that's why." If he behaves in a way, na because he no be normal pikin. There's discrimination here and there. The last but not the least that I am going to talk about, you can feel free to add yours. The last but not the least that I'm going to talk about is they believe as you be Nigerian, so as you be African man, so you encourage that kind of thing. Meaning, as you're a Nigerian, so you still accepted that Western belief. You're a Nigerian man, you're an African man. Why would you allow a white man dictate how you bear forth children? We are traditionalists. You're supposed to get your way, forgetting that the world is revolving. I still remember Yake Counseling Outreach. And if you're yet to join the family, please don't just watch and pass. We have so many other educative videos. Don't forget to join the family by hitting that subscribe button. And if you need us for any counseling of your choice, we got you. If you need us for any outreach program, you want us to help you with your outreach program, you want us to be your guest speaker, we got you at Royal Care Counseling Outreach. If this video is very educative to you, don't just watch and say, I don't get something. Don't forget to hit the like button, and you can also add your contributions below. I still remain Royal Care Counseling Outreach. My name is still Rachel. Bye bye.